following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derrick Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, season 20, episode number 52. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. Welcome to the show, guys. We got our crew here. Tommy Yarrish is joining us today. Amber's out today. She'll be back tomorrow. But today we got a lot of fun lined up for you guys. We'll talk a little bit about Jerry Jones and what he had to say this morning on The Fan. That was some interesting comments that came out of that, obviously coming off of last week's interview that he did with those guys over there at The Fan. We'll also have some time with Bryan. We'll go inside the mind of Bryan Broaddus. And as you saw when I mentioned we'd have some fun today, he shook his head yes. So my guess is he has some questions that are going to challenge us and maybe even get us in trouble. We don't know. We'll see how that goes. And then obviously I have some questions for you guys maybe in the final segment. We'll see how we get there. We'll also take some calls if you guys want to call us. 888-855-2297. It's a good day to give us a call, so we'd love to hear from you in the third segment. Let's start first with Jerry Jones. This morning he was on 105.3 The Fan, and there were lots of things that were said. I think the most important one that jumped out to me, and I think if you look around, at least X, and see what people are talking about, it's really around the Derrick Henry comments. Yeah. Basically said, I don't know if he'd have had if he'd be having a career year in our situation. Derrick Henry didn't fit managing because of managing the cap. Essentially, he was saying, first of all, he doesn't think that Derrick Henry would necessarily be doing the same things here because of their situation, and I'll ask you guys what you think of that. But also, he's saying that they didn't make the move because they were managing the cap, and I want to get into that a little bit deeper in just a second. But first, what are your thoughts on those comments?
Yeah, it's very similar to what he said in the past about Derrick Henry and why he was not brought in. It's cap related. I think it was the first time though that he had kind of led on to the fact that it might be Derrick Henry might not be having the success that he's having in Baltimore this year if he were behind this line in Dallas. And it was a tweet that Jesse Holley had put out last night, and he had asked, would Derrick Henry be having this type of success if he was running behind the Cowboys offensive line? And in my perspective, I'm thinking and I'm looking at it, absolutely not. He would not be having the production that he's been having in Baltimore, but it's still probably a top 10 rushing offense that you would have with Derrick Henry, because there's not a better running back in the league that makes something out of nothing. And it was further interesting that Jerry made this comment because Baltimore is also starting a rookie offensive lineman. Granted, they're not starting two of them, but they're starting one of them. And it's not been a perfect situation up front for them at times this year. And Derrick Henry has at times had to make something out of nothing. There was a play last night. It was a crack toss to the right, and no one did their job. He bounced back left, and it was a 15-yard gain. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, no, this guy would be just fine in this offensive line.
Can I throw something out real quick? Because Nick and I were having this conversation before, and I've heard others that took that from what Jerry said. I actually took a different approach, because when he said it, he also mentioned the number of carries that they've given the backs, and my thought was he was alluding more to the fact that they haven't really used their running backs as much as Baltimore's using. Yeah, so they haven't been able to use as much, and that's why he was saying that he doesn't think he would have the same production, not necessarily the offensive line. Fair. You guys agree with that, or do you think it was really more about the offensive line?
I do agree with that, but I think there are multiple 3rd and 1, 2nd and 4 situations this year that they've thrown the ball when they didn't need to. If they had a reliable running back, they're handing it off to Derrick Henry.
Well, that fumble that could have been disastrous in the Pittsburgh game, right? Yeah, you probably give that to Derrick Henry. He probably bulls his way into the end zone, right?
Yeah, I wish that they would just come out and say that they didn't think Derrick Henry was good enough. That's where I think this was at. I don't think this has anything. They talk about the money and all that stuff like that. Maybe the pro department didn't evaluate Derrick Henry in a way that he was still good enough to play. I think that's something we're not really focusing on right now. And if that's the case, well, then it looks wrong with that evaluation. But to me, this seems like, when you start to talk about the number of carries, the offense, and all those things, I just wonder if there was in the pro department, if when they sat down and said they evaluated their backs, that they didn't think that Derrick Henry could still play. I mean, if that's, to me, I would accept it. The cap thing I feel like can always be proven false. You could always kick the can and always put money down the road and all that and kind of talk about it that way. But I've sat in the pro department chair before, and you've made evaluations on players and you're thinking like, don't think this guy can help us. Don't, if that's the case, just say it. Then you're wrong that way about it. It's more of a like, well, they just misevaluate. Teams misevaluate guys all the time. I'd be really interested to see if that's the case here.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, because it's my belief, and I was one of the people that was ringing the bell for this.
Yeah.
After the Zeke deal, I said on this air multiple times, I think in today's NFL, it is a bad decision on the whole for teams to invest money in aging running backs.
Sure.
Do you think that maybe this was a philosophical? Because by the way,
I would appreciate, yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you think that it's not just the Cowboys? I think around the league this year, what you're seeing right now is a resurgence of these second contract running backs, which nobody predicted.
Yeah.
Like, you go down the list, and I wrote this down, like you got Henry, Barkley, Jacobs, Dobbins, Pollard. All these guys are guys.
Joe Mixon.
Aaron Jones, Mixon.
Yeah.
Like, you got all these guys that everybody was like, I don't know if I'm willing to pay this guy second contract.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, these guys are lighting up the league.
Philosophy got a lot of teams in trouble.
Yeah, so I wonder if that was it. Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys are not the only team to misevaluate players. There are other teams around the league that are sitting in the same thing. You look at the guys that are running the football right now. There wasn't a time, and when I first started on 105.3 The Fan, and when I was with you, on with my show, on with the G-Bag Nation, fighting for balance for Dak. Don't want Dak throwing the ball 45 times a game. Got to run the ball. And then the argument was from the analytics people, any run is a wasted play. Any run is a wasted play. Why are you running on first down? Why are you running on second down? Now, my show argues with me about philosophy that I admit it, I'm a old school player. I believe the running game punishes people. Mm-hmm. We've seen it 3 losses here. Mm-hmm. It affected your owner today when you listen to him talking about how those losses and things like that. To me, I believe in the running game. I've always believed in the running game, but the analytics people wouldn't let you believe in the running game anymore. Mm. And now what's happened is teams have gotten smaller. Defenses have gotten smaller. We're playing 11 personnel. Oh my gosh, we're dealing with all these wide receivers and all that.
Linebackers
now
smaller.
What we're doing, everybody's smaller. Now what do? These backs, every one of you mentioned, what's their common thread? They're all tough. They're all physical runners. Right. And that's a problem for defenses that are small. So this is just coming back around. And and your philosophy is like, we don't want to pay a back. Don't pay one and see what happens to you, But if you have a physical running back in this day and age, you could hurt people with that because you look at how teams are built defensively. Everybody's small. College football has made us all with these. We do the draft show. Well, how big is he, Nick? Oh, he's 238 pounds, edge rusher. He's one of the best in the nation. 238, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is that runner that was running last night for
Lucky Irving?
Yeah.
Well,
no.
I remember that conversation.
How about Henry?
Derrick
Henry. Okay.
How big's Henry?
He's a linebacker.
Okay. I thought you were talking about a rookie that is proving himself. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You all of a sudden, Nick is telling me the virtues of this edge rusher from Alabama that's 238 pounds. What am I going to do when I see him out there? Let's see you play this run there, son.
Yeah. Get off this tackle and then deal with Derrick Henry.
Yeah. This is where it all went bad for a lot of teams. These backs, I watched Joe Mixon play, and I'm going, God, Joe Mixon looks the same as he did in Cincinnati.
Very physical.
Cincinnati just gave up on him. It's philosophy. Everybody's now different. And now, what's happened? Teams with smaller defenses are getting punished because of it in the running game, because of these bigger backs. And I think Dallas got caught in a philosophy thing. If you tell me you got caught on philosophy, I believe, because I always feel like there's a way you could sign players. I always feel like there is a way.
It's 2 years, $16 million.
I always feel like,
like-
you can. You could kick the can. You could do what you have to do. I'm sure the guys upstairs are listening right now, and they're MFing me for doing that, for saying that. But there's always a way. These guys are smart. They know what they're doing. But the thing about it is, you're in a situation right now where philosophy might have got you in trouble with a guy that right now, and a lot of these backs, as you mentioned, are taking over in this league again because they're physical and they're hard to tackle.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of the philosophy point, I think one of the more interesting things Jerry said today was, has anybody thought about if you're going to invest a huge amount of money in a running back, you better plan on running the ball?
Yeah.
Dallas just isn't running the ball. Derrick
Yeah.
Henry alone has more carries than the entire Dallas Cowboys offense this year.
Right.
He has 134. Dallas has 133. Rico Dowdle leads the team with 59. So it goes back to, if Derrick Henry has 59 carries in this offense, are you seeing the same numbers that you're seeing with him in Baltimore?
Right.
I would argue, yeah, because it's Derrick Henry and not
Right.
Rico Dowdle. I would take, nothing against Rico Dowdle, but I think you give Derrick Henry those 59 carries if he's on this roster and use Dowdle as the complementary piece. But I don't know. I just feel like, a guy like that on the roster, even if he has 59 carries, he's going to make it count. Like Nick said, make something out of nothing, even with two rookie offensive linemen.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Well, I heard Nick this morning.
Well,
Nick
it might not be Henry. It might be any one of those guys you mentioned.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
let's talk about
Yeah,
J.K.
right. And that's what they were all available. There were so many of those guys were available, and some teams took them, and they took them for probably less
Yes.
money than they would have taken at their original place. But the fact is, they're all proving the fact that maybe you do have to rethink the philosophy of not paying second contracts to running backs, because they're proving right now they can play.
Look at the teams that are benefiting from these running backs. Look how they're quarterbacks. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, every team that has one of these running backs and is committed to trying to run the football, let me tell you what, you'll get real committed to football if you got Derrick Henry and he's slamming it in there for 5.4 yards a carry. You'll be really committed
Especially
to that.
if your passing off isn't been clicking like you wanted to.
The 2016 Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott. Rookie back, rookie quarterback. I get it. Running the football helps Dak was playing well. I think he would have played well even with Zeke maybe not being a 1,600-yard back. But what happened there? Every time Scott Linehan called a play, it was 2nd and 4. It was 2nd and 5. It was 2nd and 4. 2nd and 3.
It helps your offense
First
so
down.
much.
That's what I'm saying. You get a back that could hammer that thing in there and get you 4 or 5 yards every single time you hand it to him. That makes your play caller better. That makes your quarterback better. And that's what they don't have right now.
Well,
they don't have that ability to help their quarterback be better in down and distance situations.
Do you think that it's a matter of they don't have the guy, or do you think it's a matter of they're
behind
using
in
it?
a
They're
lot
not
of games.
using
Yeah,
it.
they're
And I
behind.
even think for the games that they're behind, I think one of the reasons why they're struggling so much with trying to protect the quarterback is the fact that teams aren't respecting the run game because they don't give them a reason to. They open the game and they from start of the game they're throwing the ball, where they haven't really committed to we're going to establish a run. And by the way, that means sometimes we may not get what we want out of it, but we're going to be committed to it.
You're struggling up front. Your right tackle is not playing. Your right guard is not playing. You got a rookie center that doesn't, he's learning how to play second level ball. You got an all-pro left guard who's having to play left tackle because the left tackle's learning curve is too steep. You've got a lot of moving parts going on, and you got tight ends right now that really aren't great point of attack blockers. They went out and spent a lot of money on Span Ford and to try and go get a physical blocking tight end. But they're never in a situation where they can come out and run the football, where they could just run the ball. Pittsburgh was the best example of they had a little bit, the game was close. They were able to kind of, the way he called plays, the 3rd and 6 toss to Dowdle around the end. Brilliant call. I mean, if it works, you're like, whoa. And if it doesn't work, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But at least it's the threat of popping a run and getting a first down like that in a key moment. He gets 12 yards on the play.
Yeah.
It's a great call.
Real quick before we end the segment, give me an update on what he had to say about DaRon Bland and Micah Parsons this week and what their possibility of playing.
Yeah, Tommy, you got it?
Yeah, DaRon Bland and Micah Parsons, Jerry said, would be likely game time decisions. So he said he talked to the trainers earlier this morning and said we're going to kind of have to see how they go through practice the next couple of days. Players are off today, so but likely game time decisions for both of those guys in San Francisco.
I would hope for Bland, and I think that your linebacker edge is going to be limited all week. that he will probably be he'll be working with Britt Brown. That one seems a little more dicey than what the situation with Bland. We've also thought Bland was going to be available, and he hasn't been able. So, but if there's going to be a chance, I think Bland's got a better chance than what Parsons has.
I would agree with that.
What are we hearing about Kalen Carson?
You know what? I haven't asked about.
I haven't either.
Because it's almost
It's been focusing on Bland.
That
might have been a really bad. That might have been a
when he
bad
first
bruise.
went out.
Yeah,
I was thinking, game or two.
Yeah,
and it's kind of just gone longer,
Yeah.
and it makes me think like, what did we not ask at some point? Because it seems like that's going a lot longer than maybe I thought it would have.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not a doctor and I wasn't looking at him, but I'm more interested now to see when he's going to be back because I really think these are reps that could really help with his development.
Yeah.
I mean, as a young guy, being able to be out there, that once Bland's back, that's gonna kind of go away a little bit.
That's another thing. If you had signed Derrick Henry, you would have had a healthy Kalen Carson the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Because he wouldn't. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're gonna go inside the mind of Bryan Broaddus. We'll do that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment's brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, Bryan, let's go inside your head. What you got?
All right, how about this? Tommy, we'll start with you on this one.
Bang.
Right
Initiate the rookie.
Right off the jump. We'll see if you're any good at this. No, I'm just kidding. You're probably really good at this. What's something you hoped would change for this squad but doesn't appear to be happening?
Hoped would change. But isn't.
Something you hoped would change for the squad but just hasn't happened.
I would have hoped that Dak and CD at this point in the season would have found some kind of rhythm together. And it just seems like, we're 6 games in and there's been no sign of improvement in that facet. There's been no sign of a click or a connection. They're still, miscommunicating on routes. I think the most glaring one was where I think it was CD was supposed to run out to the sideline.
The vertical.
Detroit. Yeah.
It looked like to me there was a safety in the middle of the field. I don't think Dak wanted to throw him the ball there.
Yeah.
And CD didn't see it. I don't think he saw it the right way. But
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that if Dallas is going to throw the ball as much as they want to do, and those two can't get on the same page, it's not going to go well, I don't think. So that would be my answer.
Boss man.
Mine would have to be Rico Dowdle. I really thought if the Cowboys would use him, that I thought their running game would be a lot better than it's been.
Mm-hmm.
And my personal belief, I still believe they just haven't been willing to commit to it. And I think if they do, I think they'd get more out of it. Because there has been one game when they've done it, and it actually did work. It wasn't a world beater. It wasn't something that was going to be up there with the best running backs in the league, but it was more than serviceable to keep this offense moving. And I think that's what I want to see more of. But to this point, it just hasn't happened.
As a young evaluator, I've learned my lesson, Bryan. I put a lot of faith into this rush defense coming into the year because they added so much depth at the linebacking core. I was looking at it on paper, top 5 linebacking core in the league you could look at with the experience, the youth, the athleticism, but it doesn't matter if you don't have anything up front. And so I expected this rush defense to be better than it's been, and just not showing any improvement.
Let me ask this. Can I jump in and ask a question real quick on that note? Coming into this year, it's for everybody at the table. Did you think the rush defense problems were more about the linebackers or the defensive tackles?
I thought it was more about the linebackers last year.
I thought it was
because
about
there was only one healthy linebacker at the end of the year.
I thought it was the edges. I didn't feel like that they were very.
Lawrence had an awesome season last year.
When you look when you looked at team on the right edge, to me that's where I worried because over there at the time it was like Armstrong, Fowler. I was worried about Sam Williams. Is who I was really worried about. And I thought if you added the linebackers and maybe the safety play in your corner, I thought it would be better, but it really hasn't been. And it's what's unfortunate is our edge from Western Michigan got hurt.
Nealon.
Nealon got hurt. And so now you lost that. He looked like to me he was kind of going the right direction playing over there. But man, I see what you're saying about the linebackers. That to me was very, very that was questionable the way they played that thing last year.
Tommy?
Yeah, I would agree with Nick that the linebackers was probably the thing that I was looking at the most. And then you bring in a guy like Kendricks and you kind of see now why he's so important to have there.
Yeah.
I mean, you asked last week, what's the one guy on the defense you want back? And I said Kendricks because he's going to be your tackling machine and get guys to the ground. So just something they didn't have last year.
I think those are all positions of that we worried about. But I still think it started up front. And I think, frankly, the best one technique they had on the team last year was no longer here in Hankins. And I don't think he played particularly well in some games. Some games he didn't play well.
And that's my point.
So that's where I think the defensive tackle was still going to be the issue. And my only hope was that Mozzie would consistently be better. That was my hope.
This is where the answer, and you could talk about the position, but this is where it really is about Mozzie. Because you're saying something you were hopeful that was going to be better, and it just isn't better right now.
Yeah,
he had that flash game where you're watching him play, and it's like, man, okay, maybe he can carry this over.
Got us all excited.
You get excited about it, and it really just isn't. It's a lot of some not as bad as it was last year, but it's just not where it needs to be.
Yeah,
but you're right about the defensive tackles. Accurate. Derrick. Will beating a banged-up 49ers squad do anything for you, or is that just what the Cowboys do?
Hell yes. Hey, I don't style point wins, and as you say all the time, Bryan, nobody feels sorry for you. Right. This team has been dealing with injuries all season, and injuries to some of their best players. So, no, I don't feel sorry for them. Going up to San Francisco after what the Cowboys have been, how the Cowboys have performed in that stadium over the last several times they've been there, I don't care who's playing. I don't care who's out. If Dallas goes up there and gets a win, it matters. It's a good win.
Yeah, I agree, especially Sunday night game.
You really didn't want to agree, though.
I didn't want to, but I do agree. That this is
go ahead.
This
what's
team
what's the argument if you don't think it's what's the argument that saying that like I don't think it's a good win?
Well, the banged up. I think it's just pretty straight line.
So you're saying San Francisco banged up. If you beat them banged up, it's not.
I'm not saying that. I was just thinking about it.
But if you were to argue that point, because you were thinking about it.
I was thinking about it.
Okay, if you're thinking about it, tell me the argument you would have.
For clarification, this is not my point, but I would
argue with me. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. I want you to tell me why his point's wrong, because you thought about it.
I thought about it. I thought about it.
I saw it in his eyes.
I would say.
By the way, clip this for him later, and then just tweet it out that he's a hater.
There was a tweet. There was a tweet last night where we were talking about it in the break, and I showed Tommy last night. It's like the healthiest skill player for the 49ers was shot in the chest 2 months ago. Yeah. I mean, like, this is a banged up squad, and he's a rookie on the same token. You have Jordan Mason, who's a second year guy undrafted. Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of been a group effort, and Brock Purdy's been put in some compromising situations. And you look at the teams that they have lost to up to this point as well, and the games that they have played. It's not the 49ers you saw in week 5 last year. Yeah. I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah.
But I think on the same token, now this is my point. This is my point to clarify. You're still going Sunday night, week 7, playing the 49ers, the team that has been your boogeyman over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. At the very least, it doesn't matter if it's Tommy Yarrish playing quarterback for these guys. It's a confidence booster. It's a confidence booster because you beat the 49ers. You can move into the next stretch of your schedule with that one in your back pocket.
Okay, so here's the deal. For anybody out there that's going to compare injury reports.
Yeah. Oh, no, this was
you can talk about theirs.
Yeah.
But Dallas has lost both their defensive ends. By the way, one of them is one of the best defensive ends in the entire National Football League. You've lost one of your starting cornerbacks. Yeah. You've lost your middle linebacker. Yeah. You've lost your starting wide receiver. Yes, they're banged up. Dallas is just as banged up. I don't think there's a team out there that has less injuries to major players on their team than Dallas. And so, again, I don't feel sorry for anybody. Yeah. Dallas is dealing with the same thing. A win is a win is a win.
If anything, it's kind of matched up because Dallas's defense is really banged up and San Francisco's offense is really banged up. So you're going to kind of see that depth tested for both sides.
Yeah. Tommy, what about it?
Well, man, I mean, everybody took my points, basically.
We invited Tommy to the show, and now we're just talking over him.
Here's the crumbs.
Yeah, that's
why I asked him the first question.
It's the rookie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
He gets rookie treatment.
No, I think Derrick said it best. It's like, San Francisco's banged up, but so is Dallas. And not to be Tom Herman here, but wins are hard to come by, especially in the NFL.
Tom Herman guy.
Sorry, by the way. Sorry, Tom.
Bang, bang.
But wins are hard to come by in the NFL. You never apologize for getting a win. It doesn't matter if I'm the quarterback for the 49ers. If the Cowboys win that game, you don't apologize for it. You're 4-3, and they need that win. It's not a must-win game. I think there are very few must-win games this early in the season. But
now I'm about to fight you.
I take that back. But this is a game that's going to stir up some much-needed momentum into what I think is going to be a really tough one on the road against Atlanta next week.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Derrick. As soon as you said I don't care, I appreciate all those years of listening to me. Sitting next to you and playing bitch about that. We got to win this game, man. Yeah. We got to win this game.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It's going to be like, it's going to say, well, it was a beat up. I don't care.
Right.
Don't care.
Do you have Dump for that beam? I don't think he's listening. Sorry.
All right. How about this one for you, Nick? This one I wanted to know. How excited are you? Okay, I'm sorry. This one I wanted to do for you. Best guess that you will see something scheme-wise after the bye for the offense.
So like a scheme change necessarily? My best guess towards it?
Yeah. Best guess.
I like this. Oh man, this is I think the easy answer would be just I think the easy answer would be motion just because there's been so much talk about it and that's what happened post-bye last year. I think there's going to be a little bit more creativity in the run game. And here's why. I have a couple of points that could lead to a little bit of confidence in that area.
Owner didn't sound like he had too much confidence in the scheme earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the confidence is it's a different scale these days. Yeah. Yesterday in Mike McCarthy's press conference, let's go back to last week. He said there were problems with how they were practicing. Correct. I asked him yesterday, followed up. Okay, have you gotten with your staff about how you guys are going to correct practicing situations? He said we want to do more group settings. And for example, the example he put out is we need our offensive line. He said, for example, we need our offensive line to work as a unit and run block. And we're going to take that to the practice field in the situation where we're not doing 1-on-1s anymore. We're doing 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. And so I'm thinking about it and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, if they want to be better in run blocking, then they are trying to be a more cohesive unit, which leads me to believe that there might be a little bit more tweaks to the run blocking schematics in the sense that they want to get guys into the second level, maybe help Cooper Beebe get into the second level with Zach Martin or with Tyler Smith. Have those guys kind of lead Cooper Beebe into that area until he can kind of do it on his own, like walk until you can run. And I think on the end as well, yes, the tight ends have not been great at the point of attack, but they could still help Tyler Guyton a lot more than they have been. So maybe using that to help with the run blocking schematics as well. I think you're going to see this team try to run the ball a little bit more effectively in San Francisco this week.
How about you, Tommy?
I was kind of going to say something along the lines of getting tight ends on the side for Guyton to help him out.
Yeah.
And I think, you look at hoping that these running backs can pass protect a little bit better.
Sure.
But since that was most of Nick's answer, I think they load the box up a little bit more defensively. I think they've just been getting run over every single game they've played, especially in the San Francisco game. I mean, Jordan Mason's had a great year so far to start, and they've established the run really well. It doesn't matter who's hurt for them on the outside. Kyle Shanahan's going to run the ball.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter who runs the ball for him. It could be me for all we know at this point, since Nick's basically coined me a 49er. They're going to run the ball really well. So I think especially coming out into this game, and you look at Atlanta too with a guy like Bijan Robinson, this is a team that I think needs to load the box a little bit more, and you can see some benefits to that for San Francisco with so many of their receivers out potentially for this game.
Derrick?
I think the natural answer is, as Nick mentioned, was you'll see more motion because I think that's what we saw last year. But I actually think one of the things I would do if I were the head coach is I would actually challenge those two guys on the right-hand side of the offensive line, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. And I would say, hey, I know we've been struggling a little bit here. Certainly we've been struggling when it comes to pass protection.
Yeah.
I'm going to load this thing up, and I'm going to let you guys power block, and I'm going to let you guys go get after somebody. Can you do it? And I would actually power my running game behind the right-hand side of this line with a challenge to those two guys and really try to get my running game established. I think that's something that is necessary for this team.
Yeah.
And the only way I think they're going to help get themselves out of the rut they're in offensively, particularly in the red zone, is to establish a running game. I would do it on the right-hand side of the ball.
I like that. I tell you what, the difference in the scheme, I think that he's going to. I like what you guys are saying about the motion stuff. I think he's going to try and get his guys more on the move. Maybe it's not motion all the way across. Maybe it's motion out. Maybe it's short motion. Maybe it's out, coming in and then running, getting into bunch formation, scattering. He's got to create separation for his guys. Troy Aikman questions your route running, how that's been.
By the way, Jerry agreed with that this morning.
Jerry did talk about that. He gave Troy a lot of credit. But the one thing that Jerry said was the separation aspect of it. And this is where I think that Mike McCarthy needs to try and help. If you have guys that are struggling with routes, put them in motion and then allow them to play on the run. One of the great things about CeeDee Lamb at Oklahoma was his ability to play run after catch. So find ways to get him and others. If they're having trouble getting off the line of scrimmage, and Jerry was talking about it, fighting through press coverage, fighting through those things, don't make them fight. Let them have a running start. Don't make them play stationary football around here. You've got to find a way to get more of your guys playing on the move. It doesn't have to be just full out motion all the time, but at least give them a chance to get a running start on these defensive backs and then maybe work that way.
I'll tell you, after that Lions game and the physicality that the secondary threw on the Cowboys receiving corps, they need Canadian rules if they ever play the Lions again. They need to be running forward as the play is snapped.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Thank you very much, Derrick. That's
Good
all I got
stuff,
for
Bryan.
you.
Good questions. All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll come back. I got some questions for you guys. We'll talk a little bit about what we expect to see here going into the second trimester, as Mike McCarthy calls it, of the season. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit unitedagandturf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's get some questions. I have some questions for you guys. We also have a phone line call. We'll get some calls if you guys want to call us. The number is 888-855-2297. Let's take a call real quick from Randy out in San Antonio. Randy, what up?
San Antonio.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hi, I got a question. I'm good. I got a question for Bryan.
Yeah.
Going forward. Coming up, I feel that this team, you've been talking about the running back situation and the D tackles. And I think going into next year, they're going to need 2 running backs and 2 D tackles. And I feel the players are available in the draft. And my question is about getting more draft capital here at the trade deadline. And I feel that with the injury to Hutchinson in Detroit, that Micah Parsons should have some trade value. And I was wondering how much could they get for Micah Parsons to get the extra picks that they need.
Yeah, the problem is when you trade for a player like that, thanks for the call. When you trade for a player like that, then you have to think about what they're willing to give up, but they have to pay. There's going to be he's going to command $35, $40 million. So what you have to do is sometimes teams aren't willing to give you a whole lot because they're in a situation where they're like, okay, we're giving you a pick, but we've also got to pay the lion's share of this salary.
And they have to pay their guy when he's going to still be there when he's healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the problem. And so every team, you look at teams have been very fortunate when they've moved players that they've been able to. The teams that were the buyers, I think, have gotten off pretty good with the way that they've given up assets to get. I don't think there's, we've seen in the past, for 2-1s and this, that, and the other. I think teams are willing to, if you really, really want to make this deal, you're probably not looking at 2-1s here. You're probably looking at a 1 and something else along the way.
Does that change based on the time of the year? Like as you get closer to draft, does it tend to be a higher premium on the picks you get versus in season?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. But like I say, teams just aren't willing. Like if you're willing to move on from Micah Parsons, then you're the seller here. And teams are like knowing that you're going to be the seller. If you ask for something that's ridiculous, nobody's going to buy. You've committed to selling. but you're now looking for the buyer, and the buyers are trying to get the best deal possible. And a lot of buyers for these players look for these, like some of these guys that have been moved, these star players that have been moved. It's been for some pretty reasonable stuff, with the exception, there's a quarterback or two that's been moved. I mean, what the Browns gave up, for Deshaun Watson and stuff like that is pretty, but that's a quarterback position. I would say you're going to shoot for 2 1s. I would say you're probably going to get one and something else if you were to go that route.
You said something about Micah earlier in the show. I'd like to ask you about. You said he's one of the best defensive ends in the league. Do you think he's one of the best pass rushers in the league, or one of the best defensive ends in the league? I feel like there's a clear line there, and if you feel like there's also a line
I'll put it
there,
to you like this. Most of the guys that I put in that conversation as best pass rushers, that's what you call the best defensive ends. Yeah. And I don't know that they're necessarily the best, because quite frankly, I think if you really say best defensive ends, DeMarcus Lawrence should be a part of that conversation more. Yeah. I just think all of us, media, fans, everybody, the premium for an edge person, an edge player is, can you get after the quarterback? Sure, I think that's first and foremost. So from that standpoint, I would say holistically, knowing that pass rush is what he does best, I would say he's one of the best defensive ends, the best edges in the NFL. And you would say he's not the greatest in run support. Yeah.
That's why
I think there are ones that are better, I think, but I also don't think he's a liability in run support. Gotcha. I really don't.
Yeah, I just like to say it's kind of a slippery slope that you walk, because you think because you have one of the best at a position that you're going to get maximum value, and it just doesn't always work out that way. Because teams are like, listen, we're going to have to pay him $35 million a year, but how many teams are willing to do that? That's what you have to look at right there.
Yeah. All right, let's get a call from Terry out in Detroit. Terry, what up?
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
Just want to say, I think part of the offensive line problem is you got guys playing out of position. I mean, Smith is a left tackle. He should be playing left tackle. 60 is a right tackle. He should be playing right tackle. Okay? BB's not a center. Put him where he belongs. Get yourself a true center that understands the position, and I think you can move forward. Steele, I would probably put him up on the trade block, get some draft picks, if you can, with him. And my big thing, and I didn't hear the last caller, but I would probably trade Parsons too. I'll put him up on the draft, because you can't. His numbers don't justify the paycheck. His last game he had 5 tackles. Okay, all his sacks seem to come in the first quarter. There's no fourth quarter sacks other than the one against the Rams. I can remember that one. But I think Parsons is a waste of money. If you give him the money, I think it's a waste. Okay, then you're going to sit there and say, oh, we can't, pay this guy because we don't have the money because it's cap strap. But I think the offensive line, the issue there is I think you got guys just playing out of position. Is the key thing there.
All right, thanks for the call. What do you guys think?
I think BB is going to be a fine center.
I think he is too.
I do appreciate the gentleman's thoughts though, because he's not wrong in some ways. I mean, if you think about, the thing with you could go either way with Tyler Smith. Personally,
he'll be great. I think at either one.
Either guard or tackle. Yeah. I mean, I like what he did there. I do think BB. The one problem I just have with BB is the twist game stuff. Everything else, I think he's really done a solid job for you. The pressures and things like that. I mean, he just gets a little too aggressive with trying to help, and he needs to be a little bit more aware. But I think that comes with experience. Like I say, the thing with Guyton, that is massive. The learning curve is massive over there with him and the techniques and stuff. That's was going to be an issue. But we're so accustomed to plug and play. We're so accustomed to whoever they draft in the first round, plug and play, and they're in the Pro Bowl their first year. Yeah. That's where we're at right now with that. It's a good call. That really was a good call.
I want to throw this out real quick for all those that have the opinion that Micah Parsons doesn't really provide for you what the money would say he would command. Just go watch the film when Micah's playing and see the amount of attention and resources that offenses dedicate to trying to stop him.
Yeah.
Because I think that matters. And I would say to me, it's a bit of a failure on the level of pass rush that they get from other players along that line.
Yeah.
That so much attention is paid to Micah and other guys aren't being able to get home and being able to affect the quarterback as they should. I don't think it's necessarily all Micah. I think it's more about the fact that teams are trying to take him out. They're doing whatever they can to take him out of the pass rush game. And as a result, it's leaving opportunities for other guys. They're just not taking advantage of it.
Running the football really hurts Micah because it takes away his ability to be a pass rusher.
Slows him down.
Yeah.
Slows him down.
Well, it just the fact that they're running the ball with success and they're not throwing it, they're able to get
I see what you're saying.
They're able to get first downs without throwing the football.
Yep. They don't earn their right to rush the passer. Yeah.
You saw what a really good pass rush did in week 1. It hasn't been that way since. It just hasn't because they've not gotten anybody into that mode. They had some pressure on Pittsburgh a little bit because the game was in the balance. But this team, like I said, I think it's built to be a pass rushing team. It's built to be a third down team when it comes to their pass rush. We'll see about the coverage aspect of it.
I've heard that point about Micah not showing up in the fourth quarter a couple of times. Just to quickly debunk that, 12 sacks in the fourth quarter of games in his career out of 40.5 coming into the season. That's 30% of his sacks. So it's
come in the fourth quarter.
Right. So yeah, I don't know.
Not really equitable. He's doing
numbers.
more in the fourth quarter. Yeah. All right. That's a wrap. We appreciate you guys joining us. Tommy, thank you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to jump in.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, he can show. How does a rookie show up and not bring food?
I know.
Especially a show where we love food. We're going to be back tomorrow. We'll talk about the 49ers. Cowboys will match up, how they will match up, starting with the 49ers offense versus Dallas defense. Till then, for Nick Harris, Tommy Yarrish, Bryan Broaddus, I'm Derrick Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?